is go live. And it says going live. You're live, and hello and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. Believe it or not, here we are for another great show. And tonight I got my co-host David Null, Hawkeye Two Feathers, and our special guest Linda Brooks. As soon as she gets her camera fixed, she'll be on in just a second. Of course, like all of us that do these things, we all have a little bit of technical difficulties, just like I did tonight. And I have no idea what happened there, but it did its thing when it wants to do its thing. So you just all have to bear with us when it works the way it works. So David, what do you got for us tonight?
Hi, good evening and welcome everybody. Thank you for showing up again and putting up with us for another hour or so. My goodness. Technical difficulties and everything, you know. But we greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And I continue to pray that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings in the universe. And so what do we got today? I wanted to mention, as folks are getting on here, there is a bill in Congress right now called the MORE Act. And it's to repeal the marijuana laws. And it's been passed by the House of Representatives. And now it needs to go to the Senate and be passed. And I'm urging people, contact your senator and tell them to go ahead and pass this thing and stop this nonsense where a plant is against the law. And I would agree. Get reinstated and a felony would be taken off of my record. So I'm for that too. But anyway,
that would be awesome. That would be awesome. You know, see, that's the thing, you know, they if you really look back at the history, now I don't know if you read it somewhere, but I read it somewhere, that marijuana or the pot plant, whatever you want to call it, was at one time, you know, they didn't care. But
that's right.
What happened, as I read, is that, you know, they were making this big hurly-burly about alcohol and all of that stuff at the time or whatever. And the problem is that marijuana, farmers would grow marijuana. And this was the time when cars were started, you know, and they could make marijuana plants grow, and not for smoking it or using it for the drug. They would grow it to make alcohol because it made the best alcohol. And because it made the best alcohol, they could burn it in their cars, and the farmers didn't need to go to town to get gas. They weren't dependent on the gas stations. They could use alcohol in their cars. Well, in order to get rid of that, you know, you couldn't have people. Sorry. You couldn't have people out there making alcohol because they were going to burn it in their cars and they wouldn't go buy the gas. And that's therefore right. wouldn't keep the economy going. So they outlawed the alcohol and they outlawed the marijuana, and nobody's making alcohol. Nobody's growing marijuana. And now you have to buy the gas. So there you have.
And you have to buy the marijuana too, but
yeah, but I mean,
grow it. But
back in those days, the marijuana wasn't quite as popular or as potent as it is today, because after somebody along the way discovered it, they bred the plants to grow the best potentest, you know, marijuana there is. Whereas back in those days, it probably maybe gave you a little buzz, but it was more for the plant of all the uses it could do, because it did. Oh God, we could have a whole program on this. It made paper. Our dollar bills are made. I don't even know if I have one here. Okay, Ariel. Cheat. Come on up here. Come on up here. Want to come up here?
Well, and what a lot of people don't know is marijuana was grown, or the pot plant, it was grown more for rope. Because during World War II, the hemp rope, and also for a lot of folks don't know this, but carpet backing.
Oh,
which is
yeah.
made out of plastic. But if you got there was back in the days of the beatniks, there was a joke that said, you must be high. Have you been smoking rope lately? No, the guy says, I've been smoking the back of my carpet.
Yeah, there you
And, you know,
that is hilarious. That is. Yeah, but see and that's the thing. It was for so many uses: rope, paper, drugs, medicinal purposes. I mean, there's a list a mile long of things that one plant does. I'm gonna have to do a whole show on that someday. But then they made it illegal, and now people go to prison for smoking a little bit of pot.
I've been to jail several times, so I have been there, literally. Helicopter flew over the house and found me with a couple of plants in my backyard, and now I learned how the Viet Cong must have felt, with a Huey sitting over the treetop level and people crashing through the weeds with guns drawn.
Oh,
but
geez.
anyway, I just think it's about time. And there are a lot of other people who would consider it. So contact your senator, because right now they're saying Senate ain't going to pass it. And that's just ludicrous. All these different states and everything that's going on, we needed to stop this mess and have people interrupting and all that. It's just stupid. So let's contact your senators, please, and let them know they should vote on this, simply because of all the money and the people's lives it's ruined.
Yeah.
There you go. I quit. I ain't gonna say no more.
No, I agree. It's probably ruined a lot of people's lives, because, the thing is if you got caught with it, then you went to jail, it was on your record. And then there's a lot of jobs you couldn't get because, oh, he's got a record. We don't want you working here. You're a criminal. Yeah, exactly. And that makes your life tough. Even though you may be a really good person, you have a tough life because what? You got caught smoking, but there's a lot of rich people that smoked it, but they're not going to get caught. They're not going to go bust down the door of a guy who living in a big mansion.
No, and one thing too, me and a friend of mine were talking about it, and we both have known people in the police department or the sheriff's department that smoke weed while they were on duty, so it anyway.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get on with it. Miss Linda, can you get to us yet?
She's working on her camera, I think. So
No, I'm still getting nothing. I'm working on it though. It's telling me.
At least say hi to everybody.
Yeah, we can hear you. If you had a like an icon, look at if you go to the camera and you go like this and you had an icon, at least then you could have the icon there.
Yeah.
But if you go to the camera thing and then it says select the camera, you should be able to select the camera. I don't know, or maybe I don't know exactly how yours is set up.
Yeah, it's telling me Zoom's not even detecting the camera, which I know.
Okay, here's what you do. Then log out and let's see, try to update, make sure you update Zoom, then shut your computer off, then turn it back on.
Okay, I'll do that.
If you updated and you didn't shut your computer off, then it won't update. You have to shut it off and then turn it back on. I found that one out.
Okay, I'll do that right quick. I'll be back.
Okay, we'll be here. Don't worry. Okay, so anyhow, tonight we're going to talk about trapping, hunting, things like that. Because the Indians, as you can see in the background, they had a hunt to live. They didn't go out and raise farm animals and have cows and pigs and chickens out back. They had the bow and arrow, as we discussed last week. And what was that thing that the Atlas? Was it
Atlat?
The Atlat. I forgot all about that. So I apologize, everybody, because I did not have that weapon of choice on because they didn't have it. I didn't see it. but arrows and spears and all those other good things. Weapons of choice. As you can see in the picture, their guy's got the a spear, and he's got this bow, and he's shooting, as you can see. But anyway, and the kids are all gung-ho about it too.
Because they're hungry.
That's right. They had to eat for food. So how did they do that? And that's what we're going to discuss tonight. Oh, no, that ain't bear hunting. Go to this one, and that should be it. There we go. The hunting stuff. Tonight we got deer hunting. And deer hunting involved a lot of stuff. Oh, shoot, I forgot what page this is. It was in the middle of the book. I got to read out of it because some of the stuff just kind of went to the sideways on me when I run it off. But you guys can kind of see how that went. Hang on. Oh, let's see. Oh, here we go. Okay. I gotta get some light on it, and I am good to go. Deer hunting. Deer hunting involved finding the deer, approaching it and shooting it, cutting it up and carrying it home. Now, how much can a deer weigh? You went deer hunting? How much does a deer weigh? About 150 pounds? Something like that?
It depends. In Florida, they're a lot smaller, but up here in Georgia and places, they can get 250 pounds.
Really? Okay. Yeah, we got like mule deer out here. They get about 250 pounds. But the whitetails, they're not quite as big. You can definitely tell the difference between them.
No, about 125 to 175 pounds between the female and the male, usually.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And then to carry it on your back, now you better have a few guys come with you. And to stalk it, find it, approaching it, shooting it. And as you know, shooting something with a bow, you got to be pretty close. You can't be too far away. Bow hunting is a lot harder than gun hunting. Okay, deer are hunted in timber by a man alone and on foot. He must be well acquainted with the habits of the animal, where it is to be found at different hours of the day, what it feeds upon, different seasons, to know by the tracks if it is traveling, grazing, running, retired to rest, or going to water. He must be quick-sighted, a good walker, and go cautiously through the bush when the game is near. The morning and evening are the best times to hunt them, as they are then on the edge or borders of the woods where the grass is found, or in open places in the bottoms, returning into the thick brushes for a few hours in the middle of the day. The hunter travels fast until he comes near the place where he judges a deer is to be found, then proceeds very slowly and silently, looking in every direction, always keeping the wind in his favor until the animal is seen. Then he approaches. It seems it's stepping from tree to tree, bush to bush, crawling and creeping, hiding himself entirely from its view by every means and making no noise. When he thinks he's within range, he rises and fires quickly, and the deer falls. It is then skinned and cut up, the meat packed in the hide, and then tied up in a bundle by the skin of the deer's legs in such a way to form a collar, which is drawn over his forehead by lying or sitting down and slipping it over, then rising up and then weighing. Oh, I got something in my eye. Then weighing, or the weight being on his shoulders, and he starts homeward. If more than one is wanted, he catches the first on a tree after cutting up, and then proceeds in the quest of others, sometimes killing 3 or 4 in a day, which he returns for with his horse or dogs the next day. Well, there you go. That's for a deer. And deer are hard. I mean, do you ever go deer hunting?
I have. Yep.
And with a bow, it's hard. And then you didn't carry it out. I remember my dad going deer hunting, and it was like, okay, I got the deer. We're gonna drag it out to the clearing, and then we're gonna go get the truck and go pick it up. We're a lazy man. We're a little lazy.
And in the deep woods around here, to try to carry anything out of the woods is difficult, let alone 150-pound deer.
Yeah. And, these Indians aren't that big. I mean, but anyhow, what about an elk? Here we go for an elk hunting. Now, this has got to be harder. This is done on foot, but by parties of men. Elk traveling in large droves and are found in large timbered bottoms of the Missouri and Yellowstone. There was some ceremony required in hunting this animal. In the first place, some divining woman who is said to be an elk dreamer declares that she has a favorable dream for hunting them. The woman is then stripped to the waist and also bare-legged, and the body and the face painted a bright yellow, and a wreath of bushes with leaves projecting 2 or 3 feet on each side is placed on her head in intimation or an intimation of the horns of the elk. Thus decorated, she starts at a head of the party of the men when in the vicinity of the place where according to her dream the elk are to be found. She stops and begins her song while the others continue in the quest of, hang on, I gotta turn the page, and the page here, shrink it down, turn it. Oh, there we go. In the game, as soon as the herd is discovered, the party separates and outflanking them on either side, commencing running towards them, shouting while running. When the elk become confused, they scatter and turn in every direction, presenting marks for their various hunters. They were then skinned, cut up, and the meat and hides packed home. The skins are used for clothing, and the meat, though eaten, was not a favored dish of the Native Americans. I did not know that. Elk are also approached singly, and as those times, the same precautions are used as when deer hunting. Through elk are not as shy and timid as an animal as a deer. Yes, elk, man, you can just yeah, they're big, they don't care a lot of times. I know I've seen elk up close, and especially out here. Yeah, when there's a big herd of elk, there's a big herd of elk. Okay, I doubt you ever went hunting elk, did you?
No, we don't have those down here.
Well, I didn't know if you ever went
somewhere. They're big, they don't care a lot of times.
There's
voices. I know I've seen elk up close.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Then now we got a grizzly bear. Of course, you don't have grizzly bears there. You got black bears there?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. We're going to go on to the bears. Hunting the grizzly bear, which I don't think is a fun thing because grizzly bears are huge. That thing will kill you. This animal is not often hunted, but often found when not desired. Mostly passed by unmolested by the single Indian, though on occasions they did kill them when they met. This was an exploit they ranked in bravery next to killing an enemy, but the thickets they inhabit made the pursuit too dangerous for ordinary hunters. They are more frequently killed in their dens in winter. The grizzly bear, in the beginning of cold weather and snow, seeks some hole in the side of a hill in some solitary place and carries in a quantity of grass and brush to make a nest. There he lies all winter asleep and eats nothing, though they are said to derive some nourishment by sucking their paws. The nest or wash is always within a few feet of the entrance, and they can easily be seen from the outside. Generally, a den contains 2 to 4 bears, or 1 large male and 2 yearling cubs, or 1 large female and 2 yearlings. Sometimes, however, they are found singly. When a den is discovered, 6 or 8 hunters lay siege to it, approaching the hole close enough to see the foremost bear. Then 3 of them shoot, the others reserving their arrows. They all run off some distance, and if the animal pursues them, the rest lose their shots. If the first one has been killed and there are others in the den, the hunters light a fire at the entrance to smoke them out. If none appear, they conclude there is only one. Enter and drag him out. Frequently, 2 or 3 bears are killed in the same hole at the same time. At others, some of the hunters get dreadfully mangled. Bears were also run on horseback. They were found on the plains and shot with arrows. This is the least dangerous manner of killing them. Pits or traps are not generally used, though occasionally forked sticks are placed in the entrance to the hole so that when the bear came out, he was caught by the hind part and detained a short time. When a bear is killed, he is skinned, all except the head, which is covered with scarlet cloth, the hair smeared over with vermilion, handsome feathers stuck around it, and new kettles and tobacco laid before it. It is presented with a pipe to smoke, and a long ceremony invocation takes place, praying that his spirit may have pity upon their wives and children and not tear at them when they are hunting after fruit and berries. They say it is not done, the bear will surely sooner or later devour them or their children. Well, there you go. That's what Duggar says too. And there you go. See, there they are tracking the bear, the elk, or the deer. I got all kinds of good stuff here. Let's see. I don't know if I want to do this one right away. Yeah, maybe I do.
Sagacity?
Huh? Sagacity.
Indian sagacity?
Yeah. Okay, this is about the tracking. So it goes on, I was trying to find things about the trackers or hunters or something. And it said this was a guy who's talking about this. I know nothing in the woodman's education of so much importance or so difficult to acquire as the art of trailing or tracking men and animals. To become adept at this art requires the constant practice of years. And I'm going to rely. Requires a constant practice of years, and with some men a lifetime does not suffice to learn it. Almost all the Indians whom I have met are proficient in this species of knowledge and faculty for acquiring which appears to be innate with them. Exgenities of woodland and prairie life stimulate him from childhood to develop faculties so important in the arts of war and of the chase. The difficult branch of woodcraft cannot be taught from books. It is almost always a matter of practice, yet I will give some facts relating to the habits of thinking of the Indian. I have known that many facilitate its acquirement. An Indian, on coming to a trail, can generally tell at a glance is its age by what particular tribe it was made, the number of the party, and many other things connected with its astounding to be uninitiated. I remember upon one occasion, as I was riding with Delaware upon the prairies, we crossed the trail of a large party of Indians traveling with lodges. The tracks appeared to me to be quite fresh, and I remarked to the Indian that we must have be near a party. Oh no, he said. Hang on. I got the part 2 to this too somewhere here. Indian. Oh no, that ain't it. Oh, I got part 2 here and I don't know where I put it. I guess I don't have part 2. Sorry. But anyway, I got some cool pictures. Indians who find themselves pursued and wish to escape scatter as much as possible with understanding and merriment are to meet again at some point. Let's see if I can enlarge this. We should meet something at some point in advance, so that if the pursuing party follows at any one of the tracks, it will invariably lead to the place of a rendezvous. If, for example, the trail points in the direction of the mountain pass or toward any other place which affords the only passage through a particular section of the country, it would not be worthwhile to spend much time in hunting, as it would probably regain in the past. It is important in trailing Indians to know at what gait they are traveling, and as the appearance of the tracks of the horse are not familiar to all, I have in the following cut represent the prints made by hoofs at the ordinary speed of a walk, trot, gallop, so that the person in following the trail may form an idea of the probability of overtaking them and regulate his movements accordingly. And there you can see you got a, I'm gonna enlarge this. We got a running, a trot, and a walk. So if you see the trail, these on the trail, you know it's trot. This is a walk, lots of steps. A trot, fewer steps inside the step, and a running, it's long steps, 1 footprint each. Okay, let's shrink this down and we'll go to the pictures. And there you go. The Indian, remember the bear thing we were talking about? There's the bear hide, put the head on, and okay. And then we got the buffalo. He was hunting. You get the hunting with the buffalo, of course, and the arrows. Okay. Let's see. No, I don't want to do this one. I'm going to go. Here's the guys hunting, more hunting. There they are hunting. Oh, and then we get to the mountain men. Now this is kind of interesting because, you know, all the Indians got to do their thing with the mountain men, and we got this guy I found, John Coulter. You can look him up if you don't know. We're going to read a little bit about this because the mountain men were the first to go out west, and they were trappers and hunters, as you all know, and they learned most of their stuff from the Indians by hanging with the Indians, because obviously a European didn't know anything about grizzly bears, elk, you know, hunting and doing, you know, living in the land. I mean, that was all Indian stuff. These were self-made men. Okay, an American trapper and guide. Coulter was born in Augusta County, Virginia, about 1774. Sometime around 1780, Coulter's family moved to Kentucky near the present-day Maysville. In 1803, Coulter established enlisted in the Lewis and Clark expedition as a private with a salary of $5 per month. How would you like that? During the expedition, Coulter was considered to be one of the best hunters and scouts in the group and was routinely sent out to hunt game and scout possible trails. As the expedition was returning to St. Louis, Missouri in 1806, they were met by 2 trappers by the names of Forrest Hancock and Joseph Dickinson, who were headed to the Yellowstone River. Coulter, not ready to return to civilization, was granted a discharge to join them, and the trio began the journey to August. The next year, as Coulter was making his way back to St. Louis, he met Manuel Lisa and his party of trappers of newly formed the Missouri Fur Company. Okay, I got to shrink this down and go like this. The next year, Coulter was hired to guide them to the mouth of the Bighorn River. Once again, the mountain man turned back, leading the party into present-day Montana, where they built Fort Raymond on the Yellowstone River, a short distance above the mouth of the Bighorn River. On October 1807, Lisa sent Coulter out to meet with the winter Indian camps, alerting them to the presence of the Missouri Fur Company and the desire to trade. Though his exact route is uncertain, Coulter traveled alone with only his rifle and pack, covering an estimated 500 miles. During the winter, with the help of Indian guides, he was thought to have crossed the Wind River Mountains, the Teton Range, and was probably the first white man to see Jackson's Hole and Yellowstone Lake. Arriving back at Fort Raymond in the spring of 1808, he described the thermal wonders of Yellowstone to the rest of the party, and though most were skeptical of his descriptions, Yellowstone soon became known as Coulter's Hell. And there you go, and there There's a Blackfoot warrior. I suppose that was the land of the Blackfoot. But can you imagine traveling 500 miles with nothing but your pack and your rifle? That's a hell of a walk. Yes, it is. Okay, okay, then we got Trapper's Journal. And okay, so he was going to tell the Indians that they were there getting furs, right? I think I got these messed up. So what they did is the trappers would get together with the Indians. Now we talked a little bit about this before the show, is the Indians trapped too, but they didn't use metal traps. David, you know what kind of traps the Indians did use?
Oh, they use snares and all types of, depending on the size of the critter, they would literally dig holes and cover them over so the animals would step in them, break a leg, they could get them. So they used all different types of traps and snares and so forth. It depended on if they were in the grassland, they had to use different types of snares and so forth. Mm-hmm. They had some that they would basically run into and then couldn't get back out of.
Okay, cool. And then, of course, the Indians trapped a lot, and they definitely knew how to tan hides or preserve the hides for the things. But they made good traders then, because the Indians were, happy to catch all these crazy animals and make money and buy pots. What do you I don't know, what do you think they were buying with all that money they were making?
Well, one of the things that they could easily trade for were knives.
Oh yeah, definitely
knives. And also I'd heard through reading something, I can't remember what, but that they made metal arrowheads and carried them in a pouch. So they could carry 20 of these metal arrowheads in just a small area. And when they showed them to the natives are like, what the hell is this? They never break, oh, I want one. What do you want to trade for it?
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so Rocky Mountain Rendezvous. I don't know if you all heard of a rendezvous, but it's where all these guys dress up and they act like trappers and things, and they put up tents. It's really cool. If you ever get to go to one, definitely check out a rendezvous. It is usually phenomenal. Some people really put on a show, and they really got all the stuff. It's really cool. Okay, in the early 19th century, the fur trade flourished in the American West, peaking in the early 1840s. There, I'm going to enlarge this for everybody. The trappers and traders began roaming the Rocky Mountains in numbers beginning around 1810 and continuing through the 1880s. These many mountain men were mostly interested in beaver pelts, which at the time were used to make the tall, shiny hats of well-to-do Eastern gentlemen. The trappers transported their furs from the Rocky Mountains back to St. Louis, Missouri, where the furs were sold and traded for supplies and equipment needed for the coming year. Beginning in about 1825, some traders also began to transport supplies back to the mountains, where they traded them for furs. This allowed the trappers to remain in the wilderness without having to personally take their goods back to Missouri. In addition to trapping and trading, these mountaineers were also instrumental in opening up a number of trails, which would later be widened into wagon roads, allowing thousands of immigrants to settle the far west. Representing the Northwest Company, Donald Mackenzie, a Scottish Canadian explorer and fur trader, held one of the first rendezvous in Boise River Valley in 1819. A regular rendezvous system was later implemented by William Henry Ashley of the Rocky Mountain Fur Company, whose company representatives hauled supplies to specific mountain locations. In the spring, engaged in trading with trappers and brought back pelts to communities on the Missouri and Mississippi rivers in the fall. This system of rendezvous with trappers continued when the other firms, particularly the American Fur Company, owned by John Jacob Astor, entered into the field. These annual gatherings were held in various locations beginning in 1825. the large fur companies put together teamsters driven mule trains that packed in whiskey and supplies and set up a trading fair, which was called a rendezvous. These events were lively, festival-like affairs, which were open to free trappers, Indians, and families alike. Not only was the rendezvous a place which trappers could sell the trade in their furs for all sorts of commodities, such as clothing, saddles, bridles, tobacco, and whiskey, but I gotta shrink this. Shouting, too big. Shouting, trading, running, jumping, singing, racing, target shooting, yarns, frolic, with all sorts of extravagances that white men or Indians could invent. In about 1835, ministries also became a regular feature at the rendezvous. Over the years, a few of these included the Reverend Samuel Parker, Father de Cement, and Dr. Marcus Whitman. The annual rendezvous, referred to as the Rocky Mountain Rendezvous, was often held at Horse Creek on the Green River, now called the Upper Green River Rendezvous Site near present-day Pinedale, Wyoming. Subsequently, the annual event was also called the Green River Rendezvous. In the mid-1830s, the annual event would attract up to 500 men, essentially all the American trappers and traders working in the Rockies, as well as numerous Native Americans. However, this, like so many other endeavors in the Wild West, was soon to change when the Canadian-based Hudson Bay Company determined to destroy the American fur trade. Beginning in 1834, the Hudson Bay Company visited the Rocky Mountain Rendezvous to buy and trade furs. The Canadian company was able to offer manufactured trade goods at a price far below that which American fur companies could compete. This competition, combined with the decline in demand for beaver pelts, effectively destroyed the American fur trade system. The last rendezvous was held in 1840. Of the 15 annual meetings held, 8 of the rendezvous took place at the Green River site, and 5 convened near the junction of Horse Creek and the Green River. Today, the main rendezvous site located near Pinedale, Wyoming, is the National Historic Landmark. Each year, a reenactment of the rendezvous is held on the second Sunday in July each year at the Museum of the Mountain Man in Pinedale. The celebration is a reenactment and part living history. So yeah, now I did a bunch of reading on this actually, and from what I discovered was when they had these things, the Indians came, the white man came, everybody got together. It was a time when the Indians and the white men actually got along, for the most part anyway. The Indians were making, getting the pelts from the beavers and getting supplies like the knives, pots and pans, things that made their lives better. And when that stuff, when the fur companies got into competition, like any other thing, they ruined it for everybody. And of course, the beaver thing died out because there was no more beavers. I read it, one of my books, that they took 40,000 beavers a year or something like that out of these places, and literally almost made the beaver extinct. They took so many. So while David's going, I'm going to say hi to everybody who's in the chat. Project Skyfalls, Scotty Boy, Dar Smiles in the house, Isby, greetings to you and much prosperity. Let's see who we got here. Of course, Zarf is in the house. I hear a bird. Yes, you do. I have little chicks. I have chicks, not the chicks you're thinking about. It's little chickens. Elderberry's in the house. Thanks for coming, man. Tracks are important. Everyone should have the basic identification knowledge on tracks, Elderberry says. Michelle Can-Am Free is in the house. Thank you for coming. She's our little love child there. Chloe is joining us all the way from Texas. Lucky Smith's in the house. Whitetail, undressed, 150 pounds, male, 100 pounds, female. Yep. Okay. Let's see. Susie Q is in the house, and I'm glad she came. Witchy Moon, I hope you're still there. I haven't seen much of you, Witchy Moon. There we go. Okay, I think I got everybody who's here. And all right. Anyway, Linda, how's it coming with the camera?
Yeah, it's not working. I don't know what's going on. I've not ever had problems with my camera not being picked up, and I posted a picture to have a picture up there, but it's not loading it up either. So
oh man, you are just having a bummer.
Zoom's not liking me tonight, but I was reading up on the things that you were doing tonight. I know that they did a lot of trapping, the Native Americans with for fish. That was one of their big things. They would put their fish traps out during the migration of different species of fish, and then they would, as the fish would migrate, they would chase them back down the river to the traps and catch like hundreds of fish in a net or a basket. And once they caught them, they would dry some of them, and smoke them. But most of them they buried in their cornfields and gardens to use as like a time-released fertilizer, which would produce way much more food because the crops were being fed so well. But they did the way they developed those. They took like stones and put them in the river in a V shape or a W shape, and they left the opening in the narrow part of the V, and they would catch like hundreds and hundreds of fish because they would put the netting or basket in that W or V. And I didn't know this, but they also added fish hooks. They would put fish hooks made out of bone or copper, kind of like we run like trout lines and catfish lines and all that nowadays. They would attach it so that any that swam away they would grab that hook, and then they would have even more fish. So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah,
that is. Speaking of the fish heads and stuff, did you guys ever watch Mon Pa Kettle? You did?
Yes.
Okay.
I did,
yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Remember he had the two Indian guys, and I can't remember their names, but anyway, one time in one show they went to town and they got a bunch of fish, and they were cutting up the fish heads, and they would put them, they were planting corn, and they would chop the fish up and put them in the hole, and then put the dirt over and then put the corn seed on top, and then they would cover it up. And that's, so they had this big wagon full of smelly fish out there.
Their names I think one of them was Crowbar.
Yeah, that's
but
it.
The other one began, I think it was a G word, and a bird. I can't remember the other one. Something, maybe duck, something duck.
Yeah,
that was a long time ago.
I'll have to look it up here and whatever. But yeah, that was that was an awesome one. All righty. David, what do you got for us tonight?
A story.
Okay, and then Linda, I didn't mean to cut you off either, but well, do you got some other stuff for us tonight too?
No. Well, I mean, I could talk about things, but I just I was looking at different legends of the Cherokee, and it's pretty fascinating. They were very simple people. They explained everything very simply, like, ask them what's on the other side of the mountain, they would say more water. Like I don't think they quite focus themselves as much as we do on trying to figure out everything. They just lived, they lived, enjoyed their lives, lived in a community sense with their families, and they were just happy to be at peace and content with what they had. And, a good life was just to take care of your family and be happy while you were here. They weren't, but I was looking through a lot of their legends, and they're very, very simple. They're not like, how the earth was made was the beetle came down from heaven and picked mud up and dropped mud all over the ground, and the land was formed. It wasn't anything like the level of thinking that we have right now about trying to figure out quantum physics and how everything is developed. So.
Oh yeah.
I've got another book, but I'll send that to you. I'm going to send it to you about the 13 moons that are on the turtles on the turtles back. Yeah, we can do that one maybe next week or the next time I'm on.
Okay, sounds good. Oh, here I looked that up, and it was Geoduck. Lester Allen as Geoduck. And yeah, so anyway, yeah, it was Crowbar and Geoduck. Remember you talking about that? Lester Allen. Let's see. I don't know. Anyway, that's what it come up as. I'm trying to look up this information. Because otherwise, it'll wane on your mind and you'll be like, I don't know. Anyway. Okay, David, what do you got? What am I looking up here?
237. What do you want, Doug? What do you want? You've been outside. Go on, get up there. Go on.
237. All right. Bring this back up and da-dum.
Unsagila's 7th spot.
2.
And I don't really know if this story relates to anything, but it's one of those stories that's a little longer. But we've kind of read stories on either side of it. And I figured, time to do some of these ones that we've skipped over the last year.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm almost there. 35, 36, and 37. Okay, let me share screen. I'll find it here. There we go. And there we go. Hot diggity dog. That it?
Yes.
Good deal. Oops.
So, Unsagila's 7th spot, Brule Sioux. Legends in many tribes tell of the awful wickedness and eventual death of Unsagila, the great water monster, also known as Untahia. Now only her bones are left, strewn across the badlands of Nebraska and the Dakotas, but they still have power to make strong medicine. When the earth was young, an evil witch was transformed into the huge snake-like monster, Unsagila. She was as long as 100 horses placed head to tail. Her body was thicker than the biggest tree trunk in the world, and her scales were of glittering mica. She had one curved horn coming out of her head. Along her back ran a crest that sparkled like dancing flames, while her vast side was adorned with a row of round spots in many colors. The only way to kill Unsagila was to shoot a magic medicine arrow through the 7th spot from her head. Behind that one small circle lay her ice-cold heart, made of a flashing red crystal. Many brave warriors wanted to kill Unsagila, not only to free the people from her evil doings, but also to acquire her sparkling heart. Whoever possessed it would have more power than anyone in the world. He could charm any woman he desired into his lodge and under his blanket. He could see deeply into the future. He would always find buffalo and never be hungry. Although so many wanted to kill Unsagila, there were obstacles. The first sight of her would blind a man. A day later, he would go mad. 2 days later, he would foam at the mouth, and on the 4th day, he would be dead. And it was not only he who would die, but all the members of his family. So there were not many who dared to go into that great fathomless black pool, which was Unsagila's home. 2 brave twin boys discussed their chances of killing this monster. The younger had been blinded by an accident, so that he had only empty sockets instead of eyes. And he said, "Elder brother, who saw the light of the world a second before me, I think I can kill Unsagila. Looking at her can do me no harm, and you can lead me to her home." "But brother," said his twin, "how could you aim at the seventh spot behind Unsagila's head?" "Someplace in the Pahasapa, the Black Hills, lives old, ugly woman who owns arrows, which never failed to hit their targets. Maybe she will give them to us." So the two boys went off to find the old, ugly woman. They searched for a long time, the older brother leading his blind twin. High in the mountains, they came at last to a Wankan, a mysterious place. It was a cave under an overhanging cliff into which strange designs of mystery animals had been scratched. This was the home of the old, ugly woman. She welcomed the two young men. "Come in, twin brothers, who wish to fight Unsagila. Come in, first of all, to rest, eat, drink, and smoke." She was friendly enough, giving them sweet pemmican and dried meat, berry soup, and all those good things. She had a pipe and sacred tobacco, so they smoked. When old, ugly woman asked what they wanted, even though she already knew, "Old, ugly woman," said the older twin, "we have come to ask for your magic medicine arrows. Without them, we can't kill Unsagila, and that's what we most want to do." "What will you give me, brave young men, for my arrows that never fail to hit?" "Old, ugly woman," they said, "take pity on us. We are poor and own nothing valuable. We know you have power enough without the arrows, and we'd hope that you would have a generous heart." "Well, young men, there is something you can give. I am old. It has been a very long time since I was with a young, strong, good-looking boy. Sleep with me, give me a little pleasure once more in my old age, and you may have my magic medicine arrows." The older twin, the one who could see, whispered to the younger, "This woman is old and wrinkled and bald and without a tooth left in her mouth. She is indeed very, very, very ugly. I don't think I could do it, but you're blind. What does it matter to you how she looks?" "You're right. I'll sacrifice myself," the blind one whispered back. So the one who could see went out, while the blind one prepared to make love to old, ugly woman. And as he embraced her, old, ugly woman turned into a beautiful, hot girl. She told the young man, "Hoksila, my boy, it's a great thing you've done for me, freed me from this wrinkled outer shell that a bad witch forced me to wear. Philamaya, thank you very much." When the older twin came back and he saw the beautiful young woman, he wanted to sleep with her too. But she told him, "Koshka Kalaka, young man, you wouldn't touch me when I was old and ugly. You shan't touch me now when I am young and pretty." For 4 days and nights, old, ugly woman, newly turned to young, pretty woman, purified these boys and also purified the arrows, burning sweet grass and powdered cedar leaves and fanning them. Then she said, "Young men, take these arrows and free the people from the evil monster. But be careful, when you cut out Unsagila's heart, it's so cold that it will burn your hands right off. Make yourselves gauntlets of thick hide in order to carry it out. Also, the heart will speak, asking you for 4 things. You must refuse 4 times, but after that, you must do as the heart wishes. In addition, you must share the power it will give you." And to the younger twin, she said, Sheila, one day you will see again, then come back to me. The twins, with the elder leading the way, she set out to look for Unsagila. They walked for many days, almost to the end of the world. Then the one who could see found a slimy trail winding in the big curves toward a huge dark lake. That must be the home of Unsagila, he said to the blind one. The trail leads right into the water. Now we'll sit and wait. Keep your bow and medicine arrows ready, and as soon as I see the very tip of Unsagila's horn coming out of the water, I'll tell you, and turn away as fast as I can. Then count slowly, 4 times 4, to allow time for the horn, the head, and the neck up to the 7th spot to rise above the surface, and then shoot. They waited, and at last, from the bottomless lake, came a swirling, bubbling, and foaming, and the tiniest tip of Unsagila's horn broke the water. She's coming up. Count and shoot well, said the older brother, quickly averting his head. The blind twin counted 4 times 4 and then let fly a magic medicine arrow and another and another. He shot all 4 of the mystery arrows, and one after the other they pierced the monster's side at the 7th spot. Now Unsagila writhed in her death throes. The water of the lake turned to blood and boiled, overflowing and drenching the twins as they cowered on a little hill above. There was a long thrashing and rumbling and fearful noises and mighty groans until at last all was still. Unsagila must be dead, said the older twin. I'll go and see. Old ugly woman turned into young pretty woman, said that looking at the monster can't hurt people once she is dead. He looked, he marveled, he could barely believe his eyes when he stood before Unsagila's huge, glittering, flaming body. Then with his knife, he exposed the still beating heart of red crystal, feeling the ice blast emanating from it. He put on his thick gauntlets and seized it. He had the sensation of strange powers streaming from the crystal into his body. Even though the thick gloves, he could feel its coldness, so he wrapped it in his robe before taking it to his blind brother. Then they heard a muffled sound as the heart spoke through the blanket. It said sternly, "Don't cut the horn off my head." Remembering the warning that old ugly woman had given them, the elder brother at once began cutting and with great labor managed to sever the horn at its base. If he had not, Unsagila would have come to life again. So you cut off my horn after all, said the monster's heart. At least be so kind as to stick the tip of it into my wound, the one your arrows made in my side, at the 7th spot. The twins would not do this, and if they had, Unsagila would have come back to life. Go and cut a piece from my body, roast it, and eat it, the heart said. If they had obeyed, of course, the poison would have killed them instantly. Take sacred tobacco and make a thin trail around the lake. You could at least do that for me, the heart said next. Had they been foolish enough to do this, all of Unsagila's many children, the smaller water monsters, would have come out of their streams and pools to kill the twins. We have refused you 4 times to do what the monster's heart asked. From now on, we must fulfill its request, said the younger brother. And the heart spoke again, saying, Blind one, put some of my blood on your eyelids. The older twin went down to the monster's body and scooped up a little of Unsagila's blood with his horn spoon. He smeared some of the blood on his brother's eyelids, and at once new eyes formed, and the brother could see. The twins took the crystal heart back to their camp. Following the heart's instruction, they dug a deep shaft to keep it in, and over the shaft they built a special 20-skin lodge painted with a likeness of Unsagila. Daily the heart was fed with the blood of deer and other animals, and daily it was turned to face in another direction. The heart kept inventing more ceremonies for the brothers to perform. If you ever refuse to do what I tell you, the heart said, not only will I deprive you of my power, but I will become a blazing ball of fire and burn you up. It's good to have power, the young twin said to his brother, but too much power can become burdensome. Yet the heart made the twins powerful indeed. They could foretell the future. Their lodges were always full of meat. No woman could resist them. They were generous, feeding their people with the game that was easy for them to catch. They were made chiefs. The older married, in fact, he took 4 wives who gave him strong sons. Younger brother, he asked his twin, why haven't you taken a woman or 2 or 3 or into your lodge, as a great chief should? It's not good to be alone, not to have a woman sharing one's blanket. The younger twin answered, I haven't taken wives because I think I've always been in love with old ugly woman turned young pretty woman. I don't really want anyone but her. I think I'll go back to the cave where she lives and ask her to be my wife. I was blind when she gave us the magic arrows, but you know the way. Lead me. The twin went alone to find the medicine woman. When they came to the walking place where she had lived, they could feel her power, but old ugly woman turned pretty woman was no longer there. She had disappeared without a trace. Where the cave had been, there was now only the smooth face of the cliff. Sadly, the brothers returned home. There are plenty of other women you can have, said the elder, but this did not cheer his brother up. Sometime after they had returned home, the younger twin said to the elder, I'm tired of these great powers the monster's heart is giving us. I'm bored always finding buffalo. I'm bored always hitting the target with my arrows unfailingly, killing all the game, and this power puts in my way. The thrill of the hunt is missing. I'm tired of all the good-looking girls and women and even other men's wives who try to creep into my lodge. The pleasure of wooing is gone. Besides, my mind is still on that medicine woman, the ugly one who turned beautiful. I'm tired of having the power to see into the future. I might learn the time and manner of my death, of our deaths. And I don't want to brood over these things. I'm just tired of power. I want to be like other men. I'm tired of it too, said the older. I'm tired of feeding the monster's heart and carrying out its endless wishes. But there's a simple way to rid ourselves of this unwanted power. Remember, the woman also told us never to let anybody else set eyes on the heart, or the power would be taken away from us. At once, the brothers called out to all the people around them, Ho! Haven't you always wondered what we keep in this special teepee? The teepee we never allowed you to go in? Well, come on, we'll show you the big secret. They invited the whole crowd inside and let them look into the deep shaft at Insagila's cold, red crystal heart. And when all eyes were on it, this heart screamed loudly and burst into a blinding ball of fire, consuming itself so that only ashes remained. While from the bottom of the hole came the noise from some big animal thrashing in the water. And that was the end of it. I feel much better now, said the younger to the older twin. And I feel as if a heavy load has been taken off me, his brother said. So these two lived happily, taking good and bad as it came, as most men do. Told by George Eagle Elk in 1968 at Parmelee, South Dakota, and recorded by Richard Erddos.
Well, there you go.
So this idea that power corrupts men, and that men who seek power, and this is that one story that these guys said, I've had enough. I've had enough of this special power. I just want to be normal again, which is interesting because in most stories that you hear or whatever, it's always about, you know, seeking more power and wanting more. And these guys said, nah, we just want to be regular people. That's all. And I find that to be a very interesting take on, not just on that story, but, you know, as far as the idea of power is concerned. Not everybody who has power really wants more and more and more and more. But of course, there are those folks who do. But anyway, so our story for tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Well, that was a long one, but I really enjoyed it. I you know, there's a lesson to be said. The following directions is, you know, a good thing, because if you don't, you know, bad things will happen. And it's just too bad in the end. I was kind of sad that the guy with the blind eyes didn't get to see the woman again.
I know.
Yeah.
And he really wanted to, and she asked him to come back.
Yeah.
So, you know, that I found out to be found that part of the story, I was like, he didn't get to go see her, you know, but anyway,
Linda, what do you think of that?
I thought it was pretty awesome. It reminds me of someone, I think it was Nina. I was talking about some things I needed to do, and she had said, you know, one of the reasons that Source or Creator doesn't allow many of us in our community to win things like the lottery is because we probably would stop doing the work that we're supposed to do. It would give us power. It would, you know, it would make our lives easy. And that story reminded me of that. They had so much power, but it took them a long time to finally realize that their lives weren't the same anymore. They weren't enjoying their lives. They got idle, sat around, didn't do the things they were supposed to do. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. That was a great story, David. Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. And you know, over the many months we've been doing this, Robert, I've skipped over the longer ones. And that was one of the longer ones I've skipped over, but
you got to start. Yeah, you got to start doing those. Elderberry's screaming. He's screaming. You know what he's screaming?
What?
Card. Elderberry, you're gonna get your wish. I got something to add to that. Yeah, see, that's the thing too, is if things come too easily, it doesn't make it any fun. It's like saying, I'm gonna go play the lottery, and if every time you play, you just win. After a while, wouldn't it just get boring? You know, it was like, oh, I know I'm gonna win. Oh, I'm gonna go hunting. I know I'm gonna get the biggest deer. Oh, I know if I look at that girl and she's gonna smile at me, she'll come over and, you know, and she'll be my girl, you know, and that's all I got to do. But after a while, it's not a challenge. And I think human intuition tells us to be human. We need that challenge. That's what we're here for. Because if things came too easily, you know, you don't put any effort into it. You don't learn anything either. You want to be. So the deal is that, you know, sometimes getting all that stuff just isn't really the thing. You when you work for it, you enjoy it more. Yes, definitely.
Most of the times anyway, it's that sense of gratification, you know, you've accomplished something.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. When you accomplish something, you appreciate it much more. And what else? What other part of that was, I did like that. It sounded out like in the beginning they were hunting a dragon. I kept thinking, oh my gosh, this is like you know, a dragon story of the Knights of the Shining Armors, and they had to go find the witch that would give them the magic spell to help them. Didn't it?
Right.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Yep. And I thought the really good twist of it was like, oh, well, of course you have something to give me, young man. But what he didn't know, or none of them, was that she had a curse and she was actually, brand new pretty woman, like, whoa, baby, it's a shame he couldn't see her.
Yeah, it also reminds me of this is like the state of the world today. We have been given a lot of power, and so people they have lost their connection with Earth and everything else because we have so much convenience now, and so that in itself is a form of exactly what these twins were going through. They had everything at their fingertips, so. I'm not saying people don't work hard. They do, but they're working hard at the wrong places, doing the wrong things now and everything. They don't know how to grow food or take care of themselves or any of the things that we were taught by our ancestors. So it would be, they were given up that convenience in their lives to go back to being what they were originally meant to be, which was spiritual beings, interacting with others and enjoying the experience here on Earth together. So
I agree with you, and that it's a good thing that they learned the lesson of having the power, because had they kept it, the peoples would have lost how to do those things, because it would have been just so convenient. It was always outside their tent. They didn't have to go looking for nothing. And so, and people become complacent and they forget how to catch things. I mean, the basic things they always say, teach a man to fish and, versus giving him food. But here's the thing. There are people who might know how to fish, but they don't know how to clean the fish or cook it.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's always convenient, if it's always dressed, cut, scaled, and etc. Oh, well, I caught a fish. Okay, now how you gonna eat it? Well, I don't know. I don't know how to clean this thing.
Yep, absolutely.
All
right.
So,
what do we got for a card tonight?
There seems to be just one. I gave it a chance, and it's just one. And it's snake, number 6.
Okay.
Transmutation. Snake, come crawling. There's fire in your eyes. Bite me, excite me. I'll learn to realize. The poison transmuted brings eternal flame. Open me to heaven and heal me again. Snake medicine people are very rare. Their initiation involves experience in living through multiple snake bites, which allows them to transmute all poisons, be they mental, physical, spiritual, or emotional. The power of snake medicine is the power of creation, for it embodies sexuality, psychic energy, alchemy, reproduction, and ascension, or immortality. The transmutation of the life-death rebirth cycle is exemplified by the shedding of the snake's skin. It is the energy of wholeness, cosmic consciousness, and the ability to experience anything willingly and without resistance. It is the knowledge that all things are equal in creation, and that those things which might be experienced as poison can be eaten, ingested, integrated, and transmuted if one has the power and the proper state of mind. Thoth, the Atlantean, who later returned as Hermes and was the father of alchemy, used the symbology of 2 snakes intertwining around a sword to represent healing. Complete understanding and acceptance of the male and female within each organism creates a melding of the 2 into 1, thereby producing divine energy. Now, they want me to read this part again. Complete understanding and acceptance of the male and female within each organism creates a melding of the 2 into 1, thereby producing divine energy. Divine energy takes two. This medicine teaches you on a personal level that you are a universal being. Through accepting all aspects of your life, you can bring about the transmutation of the fire medicine. This fire energy, when functioning on the material plane, creates passion, desire. It becomes ambition, creation, resolution, and dreams. On the mental plane, it becomes intellect, power, charisma, and leadership. When this snake energy reaches the spiritual plane, it becomes wisdom, understanding, wholeness, and the connection to the Great Spirit. If you have chosen this symbol, there is a need within you to transmute some thought, action, or desire so that wholeness may be achieved. This is heavy magic, but remember, magic is no more than a change in consciousness. Become the magician or the enchantress. Transmute the energy and accept the power of the fire. Now I'm going to read the contrary. It was straight up. So if you've chosen this symbol in reverse, you may have chosen to mask your ability to change. Look at the idea that you may fear changing your present state of affairs because this may entail a short passage into discomfort. Where there's a lot of stuff outside tonight. He's about to go through the window here. Does this discomfort keep you from assuming the viewpoint of the magician within? So one of the things about snake and the transmutation is that to have the proper state of mind, it is the knowledge that all things are equal in creation and the ability to experience anything willingly and without resistance. So, people who want to learn about things about nature or whatever, but are afraid to go for a walk, you gotta take that extra step. You gotta get out of your comfort zone. It doesn't mean that you have to go hiking on the Appalachian Trail for 2 months with a backpack and a canteen. No, what it means is if you want to transmute, you have to be able to accept things willingly. In other words, for the snake people to allow a snake to bite them, that's just heavy in and of itself. Now, I've told this story before, but it bears repeating again. The story that many folks talk about the little native boy that goes up the mountain, and as he's going up on his vision quest, he meets a snake, a rattlesnake, and the snake asks him, young brave, I'm cold and I've climbed up too far up the mountain and it's getting cold. Would you take me down the mountain? And the young brave says, well, no, because you're a snake, you'll bite me. And the snake says, no, I won't bite you, I promise. So he picks him up and gets him warm and carries him all the way back down the mountain. And as soon as he's about to let him off and put him on the ground, the snake bites him. And the young brave says, but you promised. And he goes, why did you do that? And the snake looked at him and he said, because I'm a snake. Now that's usually where the story ends. But the certain tribes have other stories about this. But what happened was the snake was so gracious. When he bit the young man, he died, but he was reborn into the snake clan. And so the snake took him to his chief and elders and said, look, this young man saved my life. He carried me down from the mountain. He's really at it tonight, ain't he?
Yes, he is.
Hang on a second. Let me let him out. Come on, go outside. Go outside. I don't know what you're chasing, but goodness gracious.
Well, Linda, I agree with you. This is synchronicity, isn't it? With that snake tonight.
Yeah.
And you were talking about, I heard those reports about that the cerveza bug was developed from snake venom. Now, how true that is, I don't know, but it is a good story, and it does go with our card tonight, doesn't it?
Yeah, I thought that was wild because I literally just had someone send me that before I got on the show, and they were like, she's pretty awake like we are, and she's very spiritual, and she said, you're not going to believe this, but now they're blaming it, saying that it was actually snake venom. And then David pulls the card about the snake bite.
And you know what's in, and it wouldn't let me pull another card. I mean, I shuffled the deck 3 times while we was talking, and the snake was the only card it would let me have. So, which is interesting. But so the message also comes through with the many different tribes and legends and so forth. But so the legend, depending on the tribe, where the young man is bitten, he dies, but he's transmutated into a snake. So he's introduced into the snake clan. And as his reward, during the daytime, he's a snake. But at night, he transmutates back into a human. And as the story continues, he meets this young maiden at the pond by the stream as a snake during the day. And she looks at him and, whoa, this is crazy and leave me alone. But he goes back at nighttime. And she's there by the pool and she meets him as a human. And they end up falling in love and meeting back and forth and everything. And then she goes, you know, how come you can't, you know, come to and meet my father during the day? And he said, well, there's this problem. And so he tells her, listen, come tomorrow at noon and to the same place and I'll be here. So she comes back the next day, all excited. She's going to see him. And there's this rattlesnake laying on a rock. And she's like, you know, and he speaks to her and says, it's me. What? Yeah. And then he explained it to her. So she was a little reluctant to tell her family and everything, but he took her to meet his family, the snake family. And because he was so revered for saving the prince or whatever, the chief's son or whatever, that they invited her without being bitten into the snake clan. And then after that, she took him and said, Father, you know, this is who I want to marry. And he's a member of the snake clan. And they both of them were accepted by both clans. So if you hear the short version of the story, he just goes up the mountain and the snake bites him. The snake says, what do you expect? I'm a snake. And that's the end of the story. Mm-hmm. It ain't the rest that, you know, as Paul Harvey says, that's, and now the rest of the story. But anyway, I like the rest of the story too.
Yeah, that is true. Well, my gosh, all the stories are good. They're always a good story. I tell you, you can't go wrong with some of these. I learned so much, and even so, I think about them during the day, and I hope everybody enjoys those short stories. Because, you know, I make those shorts, and so you don't have to listen to our whole program. You can just listen to that short story. So anyway, well, we're almost at an hour and a half, so we got to better cut it off and call it a night. I got a battle of Blizzard tomorrow, so there you go. It's kind of funny saying that for middle of April, but we will be back on Thursday night. And Thursday will be the Lost Book of King Og, the giant book with me and Isby. And on Saturday, we'll be back for another wild dose of fun and entertainment. And this time we're going to talk all about Easter, Istar, the springing of the springs, what it all means, and, you know, all that stuff. Again, we'll be doing, you know, be Easter stuff. So anybody, if anybody wants to join me and has some good stuff about the meaning of Easter, besides, you know, the meaning of Easter, you know, I mean, you know, unless we want to read out of the Bible stuff, but I mean, you know, we're not going to do that. We're going to find out the real meaning of Easter, because it developed long before the Easter. So there you go.
Absolutely. I love to
Anyway.
hear that everybody needs to come listen to Thursday nights. The book's really, really interesting. And I love to hear you guys read that. And another, David Barry's been doing the Celestine Prophecy, and he just did another book, and very, very insightful. I'm really proud to be a member of this whole group. I try to catch all of you guys' videos, and you're doing an awesome job, everybody, of getting out there and putting out the content that people need to hear. So I appreciate everyone. And I'm hoping, I'm supposed to get a new computer to set up for my channel this weekend sometime. And so hopefully I won't have any more of these computer issues. I want to apologize.
What you need is a camera, one of them webcams, those help. That's what I got. I got one of those Logeye web cameras.
Logitech.
Logitech.
Mm-hmm. That's what I got.
I have a camera. It's just, I don't know why my computer's Zoom. It's Zoom. My computer's reading it when I'm on my computer. I can see myself on the camera on the screen, but Zoom's telling me it's not finding it. But I'm getting the whole setup with the microphone, the camera, everything. So, and new lighting and all that to get my channel going. Yeah.
You're going all the way. Well, I'll be glad to have you back sometime. I want to hear about the 13 moons.
Yes, that's been coming up a lot in the last week. Yeah, the 13 moons has been coming up with a lot of channels too, of Josephus returning, and how our Gregorian calendar is wrong, and we're actually on a 28-day cycle. And a lot of old native tribes and indigenous people, they had a 13-month calendar. And now I was at the library Monday and found that book by accident, and I was like, wow, the Cherokee Indians had a 13-month calendar too. So.
Well, something happened. Anyway, I want to say hi to everybody one last time who I missed. David Castle came in a little late, but David Castle's here. Thanks for coming. We got Jules who's in the house. Send her some good energy. She had her identity must have been stolen, so give her good vibes going through, and hope she makes it through this battle, because that's no fun. Desert Rose is in the house. Thank you, Desert Rose, for coming. I haven't seen you. Well, we've seen you last a few times. You kind of get in late, and Mary wins. When Mary wins, we all win. I win, you win, we win. Where the Soul Tribe wins. That's better than anything. And of course, Lucky Smith with his prosperity, and everything happens for a reason. Everything comes in at the right time. Exactly. So, okay, with that, we're going to close it out. We'll see you again next week. Same time, same place. Everyone, thank you all for coming. And yes.
Thank you, everybody. Gagayui, which means I love you in Cherokee. Gagayui.
Gagayli. I hope I said that right. Gagayli.
Gagayui.
Lucky Smith says the Gregorian calendar is terrible. December means 10 and not 12. That really is terrible. The year shouldn't start in March, or the year should start in March.
Yes.
Huh.
April 1st is the new year. It's a neutral day. And then, yeah.
And then don't they call that April Fool's Day? Maybe they switch.
Yeah, that's what I thought about when I saw that. I was like, they're fooling us. That's why they named it April Fool's Day.
Yeah, our whole reality is so switched around. Well, everybody go think on that. We'll see you again soon. Remember, be the frequency you want to receive. I love you all. Peace, everybody.
Cheers.
Good night. Love you all.